In our first video of this career series, we gave folks a little insight about what to expect if they're interested in being a firefighter. In this second video of the series, we're going to give some guidance on how to become a firefighter and begin your training. Hi, I'm Mark Basher, Executive Editor for Fire Rescue One and FireChief.com. First, it's important to be clear that this job is not for everyone. Research has shown that over 70% of the people who start out down this path will drop out and go on to other occupations or to do other things. That dropout rate can be attributable to any number of things, and those reasons really don't change. You know, maybe the fire service just wasn't for them, or maybe they realized back then it wasn't like emergency all the time, or now it's not like Chicago fire all the time. But as a student of society, one thing that I have seen change is the level of diversity within our ranks. What once was a white male-dominated service, growing up in historic houses like this behind me, has turned into a pool of diversity that most recognize is rich to our history. Of the 98 metro-sized departments I was able to evaluate at the time of this video, 43 of those are now led by fire chiefs who represent minority classes. In fact, female chiefs now lead departments coast to coast. Some of those departments are Fresno, California, Portland, Oregon, Phoenix, Memphis, Kansas City, Decatur, Georgia, Mesa, Arizona, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and yes, Prince George's County, Maryland. We indeed have come a long way, but we know we have further to go. But for the purposes of this video, we want to take a look at what it takes to get here in the first place. So let's take a look at that. Here at Lexipol, we've come up with 11 requirements to become a firefighter. So Sarah Callums, one of our Lexipol writers, put this together in July. So you can follow it at this link, but also we're going to put them up here on the slide for you. So these are the 11 requirements. Again, not every jurisdiction is exactly the same, but generally speaking, this is it. Number 1, meet basic requirements. So we're talking you need to be 18. Number 2, meet or exceed the education requirements. So we're talking you got to have at least a high school diploma. Number 3, be in good physical condition. Number 4, stay out of trouble. Number 5, keep your social media nose clean. Number 6, prove your fiscal responsibility. Number 7, get involved in your community. Number 8, pass the written exam. Number 9, prepare for a psychological evaluation. Number 10, graduate a fire academy or class. And number 11, ace the interview. So once again, not every jurisdiction is the same. They're not all going to have all of those steps. But generally speaking, those are the things that you should be prepared for as you begin this journey. Okay, so after those 11 things, there are a few things that are pretty universal that I want to hit on real quick, and that's a driver's license. A driver's license is pretty much necessary no matter where you go to get the job, to get to the job, or to drive, obviously, apparatus of any kind. Another is the potential for residency requirements. Not everybody has a residency requirement, but some places do require you to live inside the city or inside the county or within so many miles or so many minutes of the jurisdiction. And then the other thing is potentially pre-qualified training. Some places only hire based on you having pre-qualifications or that you've already got certain training. You need to know that in advance so you don't waste your time applying for something that you're just not going to end up qualifying for at the end. Some will require what's called a Candidate Physical Ability Test, or CPAT. Next is a background check. Some will require a degree. Most will require a physical exam. So I want to talk to you for a minute as a chief. When I get to the interview, I'm looking for honesty. I'm looking for people that are forthright and honest, willing to look me in the eye, be able to answer questions, be able to show that they're an adult. They don't have to show me that they're a rocket scientist. They don't have to show me that they understand every facet of the fire service, but they need to be able to answer the questions honestly. So when you come to those interviews, if you get past the test and you come to an interview, please be honest. Please come dressed appropriately. Shorts and flip-flops is not appropriate for an interview. After the interview and we get into a background check, then we start talking about physical exam. Again, not every one of the departments is going to do the physical exam the same way, but you need to be prepared for that physical exam, and you need to have been prepared physically to do the job in the first place, but also to pass the physical exam. So after you get through all of those different things, and we get to a background check, and we get to where some departments will put you on a list. Okay, and now when we're ready to fill a position, we'll call from the list. Some places where they're only hiring one or two here or there is not a big list. You just may get a phone call direct and say, okay, time to start next week, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, or whatever. You need to try to be as flexible as you can, to do the best you can to accommodate that, but you also don't want to burn bridges if you're leaving somewhere else. Make sure you give at least 2 weeks notice wherever you're leaving, or whatever the requirement is for that business or for that jurisdiction, if you're leaving one going to another. Okay, now that you got all that in, I want to spend a few minutes talking with you about this nebulous thing you'll hear a lot about in your time in public safety, public service, and that is called public trust. So I'm going to put my definition up here on the screen for you to follow along. Public trust is the community's foundation of expectations that the community stewards, that's us, maintain a sound sense of duty, that is specifically professionalism, good moral fabric, and high ethical standards, whether anybody's looking or not. If you're driving under the influence, you are not maintaining the public's trust. If you're stealing candy bars, you are not maintaining the public trust. If you're exchanging pornography, you are not maintaining the public trust. If you take just a little morphine for yourself, you are not maintaining the public trust. If you are not always striving to be at the top of your game, it will be difficult for you to be able to maintain the public trust. A chief is not always going to be able to tell you what's right and what's wrong. At some point, you as an adult and as an individual and as someone who is entrusted with the public's trust have to be able to make those decisions. Okay, we've talked about a lot today. In the first video, we talked about what to expect if you wanted to apply for this. In this video, we talked about the things that are going to be necessary for you to apply and to get in. And in our next video, we're going to talk about, okay, you're here. Now, how do you survive those rookie years? Thanks for joining us in this series. I'm Mark Bayshore, Executive Editor for Fire Rescue One and FireChief.com. Join us on the .com for all of the information and news affecting the fire service worldwide. Keep safe, stay smart, and take care.